My name is Len Dyer, and welcome to the National Armor and Cavalry Restoration Shop. The next vehicle I will introduce is the American-built Mark VIII Liberty tank. Named after the Liberty aircraft engine, which is a V12 engine placed in the vehicle, took all the lessons learned from combat with the British heavy vehicles and designed it into the American version of the heavy tank. The intent for this vehicle was, if the war continued on in 1919, these would be the primary vehicles that the American heavy tank force would end up operating in. War came to a close, so that did not happen. America built 100 of these. These are going to be the primary heavy tanks used for training in the 1920s through the 1930s by the American forces throughout the American continent. They will never go into combat overseas and will be used here stateside throughout the U.S. For training. And towards the end of the war, several will be sent up to Canada to help support the Canadians' training as driver-trainer. Unfortunately, out of the 100 that were built, only 2 still survive. The one that is here that came out of the Aberdeen collection, and the other one at Fort Meade, Maryland, where the Tank Corps headquarters reestablished after World War I was over with. Same basic concept, an 8-man crew. There are no male and female. They're all starting off as a male element with side sponset mounted 6-pounders, or the 57 millimeter. The difference on this is that the engine has been removed out of the center of the vehicle and placed in the rear of the compartment with an actual firewall separating that. So the heat, the noise, and the engine exhaust elements are not influencing factors. The commander then is in a center tower or a turret, and he can talk directly to the gunners on the left sponset or right sponset as needed, or the driver who is right in front of them. He also has the opportunity to employ several different machine guns that are located on the vehicle. Just like the Mark V, this vehicle carries a very heavy load of ammunition, 283 main gun rounds and 21,000 machine gun rounds for the vehicle. Speed did not change. It's still only running at about 5 miles per hour based upon the need for infantry support, and the armor protection for the most part is no more than a half an inch thick, which was again one of the problems with the earlier vehicles and anti-tank weapon systems. But part of that development was that the vehicle had additional plans for applique armor systems, just like some American vehicles today end up employing, if they did go back into a combat situation and have to deal with anti-tank weapon systems that were moving forward during that time period. This particular vehicle is interesting in the fact that it was also here at Fort Benning, Georgia, and used for training down here, mostly in the Sand Hill area in the 1920s and 30s. It also was involved in a lot of other test and evaluation components for the vehicle. After it was used here, it was sent up then to Aberdeen Proving Ground for testing and to stay with the Ordnance Collection, and it joined us less than a year ago. The important element out of this girl, she needs a lot of restoration because she sat outside for over 97 years of her life and has a lot of needed TLC. She actually is 2 tons heavier at 34 tons, and she is approximately 24 inches longer. Again, better to deal with the issue of the trenches and the shell craters that she might end up encountering as far as that goes. She does not have the unditching beam system that the British heavy tanks had available. She also has a full electrical system inside based upon an internal generator with a internal intercom system that's a first generation electrically actuated system versus the blow tube system that the Mark V had incorporated within it as far as that goes. The more important element though is that the crew is centrally located in that front compartment known as the fighting compartment, and their coordination in battle is a lot better. She uses the same concept with the semaphore tower for long-range communication, as well as backup flags, flare guns for communication systems as far as that goes. But what's also kind of unique about this girl is her engine is an aircraft V12 engine. And it puts out about 280 horsepower, which is quite a bit more actually than the British Mark, and potentially gives it a little bit more speed. But again, the gearing is geared such that it moves only about 5 miles per hour because its primary purpose is not for exploitation, it is to support the infantry.